CES coverage sponsored by Audible.com, where books come alive. Listen to a bestseller on your iPod or MP3. Get a free trial at audiblepodcast.com/CES.
CES coverage sponsored by GoDaddy.com, the leader in domain names and web hosting services. New GoDaddy customers save 25% by using promo code CES25 at GoDaddy.com.
The CES coverage is sponsored by Luxor, Las Vegas. Get to the point. Rooms start at $40. You can go over to TPN.TV for the Luxor advertisement, which is the gateway to savings.
Welcome to Larry O'Connor from Otherworld Computing. Okay.
Good morning. How you doing?
Yeah, and you know why I said that?
Probably take a guess, maybe.
Well, when I read the press release, we were going through the countdown of people we're going to be interviewing. Within about the first three lines,
sure,
I said, I want one. And
and
I stopped my work and went and ordered a solid-state disk from you guys.
Good choice all the way around.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is it that you provide?
Well, I'll tell you, we have upgrades for, whether it's a Mac or a PC. And I guess the big thing that we provide are products that work and support that's behind those products to make sure that, we know where they work when they ship out the door. And certainly when you get the products, it's important for us to make sure that our customers, that you're able to use the product to your expectations. It's interesting. We've been in the Mac space for a very long time, and there's very little tolerance on the Mac side for issues. I mean, there's high expectations, and quite frankly, we have those same expectations of the product that we use and the product that we're going to provide to our customers.
Right.
Having said that, just because we understand how something works, and we put a lot of information on the website to make it very easy. We have installation videos. From top to bottom, we make sure that it's very easy to do it yourself. But if you need that extra assistance, we've got 24/7 support via live chat. We also have 800 toll-free until 10 o'clock at night to walk you through and make sure that, we love these products. We're very passionate about all the products, the memory, the storage solutions, even down to basic accessories and PRAM batteries. It doesn't matter what you've purchased from our company. If you need assistance, we're there to make sure, we get you going.
Yeah. Well, the particular product that I have a MacBook Pro that's about 2.5 years old, or maybe 3 years old. And it's starting to age just a little bit, and I'm pushing it harder and harder.
Right.
So when I saw that I could replace that 100 gig drive for around $250, I said, man, I'm on board. And so what happened? Of course, I'm fairly close. You guys are based in Chicago, in that area, so it's only about 100 miles away. So the next day, here comes my kit, and in the kit, the thing that impressed me was that you sent along the tools that you needed to be able to perform that swap out.
Right.
Yeah, and but then there was a little bit more involved than just popping open the case. What would the process be to replace a disk drive in a Mac product, for example?
It depends upon which. To start with the MacBook 13-inch, those are very easy. On the MacBook 13-inch models, you have access to the drive bay right through the battery slot. On the MacBook Pro 15-inch, before the unibody, you got to kind of take the back cover off.
Yeah, look these about 36 screws the size of a dust mite was what my wife said.
Yeah, that's very true. And you want to keep those very organized because they're not all the same length.
Yeah, that's true.
And they all need to go back where they came out of. But, it's while you may call it's like maybe a little bit tedious, it's something that's very straightforward and very easy to do.
It's doable. It's doable. And I think the thing that was really, really impressive to me were the videos.
Right.
On this very iPad right here, I had the MacBook Pro, and I had all these screws, and I had the iPad here, and I would run the video, and I'd stop it, and then I'd do what they said.
Right.
And I'd tape down the screws, then I'd run the video,
right,
and take out the next set, and I'd tape those down. And it was a painless process.
That's the only way. There's lots of great products out there. I should say lots of products that have great promise, but what's the use of a product? If you get it and it's like, how am I going to do this? Where does it go? How do I get my data transferred?
Yeah.
So really when we provide a product, we really want to make sure, as I said before, we want to make sure that you can use it, get that practical application from it.
Well, and being able to, that was one of the things in the video. They coached you how to clone the drive that was in there already.
Right.
So that you had the full safety of a backup.
Right, and when you buy the full kit, it comes with an external enclosure. So on top of everything else, you're moving your old drive into that external case. You're going to connect that external drive now, I should say your old internal, via that enclosure to your computer to transfer all your data. We recommend you can either do a clone, you can do a new installation, and then use data migration, which just automatically moves everything from that old drive onto your brand new super speed, super fast SSD, so to speak. And then after you're done, you can keep that as a backup. Now make sure everything is happy, jolly. And then you have an external drive to use, bus powered for backup, for additional storage. You name it, it's there.
Sure. And for a short term, at least you can run Time Machine on it and back things up in that way.
Well, one thing about all the kits, even whether it's memory, and this kind of goes to the videos, we do videos for whether it's optical drives, for memory, for hard drives, for processor upgrades. Way back when, I'm sure everybody's had the experience where you buy something, you bring it home, you open the box, and you find out there's something you need that's not in there to finish the job. And that's rather frustrating, whether it's a cable, whether it's a tool. When we ship our products, when you walk into a big box store, it's kind of an interesting strategy. They'll sell you a printer very inexpensively, and then the cable to connect it costs as much as the printer.
Yeah.
They do that on purpose. We really we really package products with value, and to make sure that if it connects via XYZ interface, the cables are there. On the do-it-yourself kits, if you need a tool and do the installation, everything is there. And if you run into any questions, it's we have a very friendly staff. These people are passionate about, again, our products and about Mac and about even PC upgrades. And having said that, if you need help, they're very easy to talk to, and they have good information, and they're happy to assist. They're based in the U.S. out of Woodstock, Illinois, and they're there because of you, and we're here for you.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that impressed me about your drive, and I'm not sure if I've got the right term, it's like over provisioning.
Certainly.
Explain that a little bit.
Certainly SSDs before 2010. SSDs use flash. Flash is effectively a consumable, which is kind of interesting when you look at that. Everything has a lifespan. Flash has a lifespan that's very quantifiable. And by having over-provisioning, along with wear leveling, the over-provisioning provides, a backup to, at some point, if you're a heavy user or if you're a long-term user, there's going to be a flash sale that encounters an issue. What the over-provisioning provides is effectively real-time, swappable space, for a failing area. These drives are built very conservatively spec'd to have no less than a 5-year lifespan in the applications we put them out for. And we're talking, when we say conservative, we're talking while it's based on a consumer user daily, X number of gigabytes being written to the drive. Very few people write the amount of data to a drive to reach what would be a 5-year life cycle on this drive.
Right. Even if you're editing video and you've got very large files that you're moving in and out.
Absolutely, positively.
Yeah.
The way this drive is designed, you pretty much have to be up 24/7 a day, beating it up to see that 5-year life cycle come into play.
Right.
And the over-provisioning guarantees that by having 7% of the drive set aside, for this swap space, if there's ever an issue, you don't even notice that. This is the big difference. If a conventional drive that has no over-provisioning counters a bad sector area and goes to write it, probability becomes that drive will either brick or corrupt your data. With this particular product, first off, we use top-tier flash in the first place. As far as the reliability factor of the parts going into it, we built this product to be bulletproof and rock solid, from top to bottom. But if you're reaching the end of a flash, a flash point.
There it is.
Oh. I'm looking over on the preview saying, where's my close-up?
I can give you that.
There we go. We can fly it in here.
I was looking at, I've purchased a number of various solid-state drives, and they're not all created equal.
Absolutely not.
Very few have over-provisioning, and that is a scare for a lot of people to hear that they do wear out. People start to get a little skittish of them. But boy, the speed performance, even in the speed performance, there's quite a variety in the SSDs I can attest to. So I've gone through a few, and they're definitely not created equal. So those that are looking at trying to get the cheapest one going, take a look. They're cheap for a reason, because either one, they're slow, or two, they have no extra provisioning, or they don't do the wear very well. So it's pay attention, because there is a major difference in them. I like these. These are just wonderful. OWC just makes wonderful hard drives or solid-state drives.
So what's the most difficult part of getting people to understand some of the benefits of solid-state drives?
Well, they have a higher cost, so that's a barrier to entry. That's something you look at. My gosh, it's 120 gigs is over $200. I can buy a 500 gig hard drive for $80. So certainly it's you have to kind of it's really, and we've taken the approach of saying these drives is more than just a storage solution. It's about upgrading your computer. You have a Mac or a PC from 4 or 5 years ago, and you put this drive inside, and it actually runs with the big boys today.
Yeah.
You look at a $3,000 decked out i7, dual core processor, laptop. This guy will boot faster and launch your applications faster than that computer does with a standard hard drive. Apple actually did a lot of good for us, quite frankly, when they introduced the MacBook Air in October. Jobs was very forthright about talking about solid state, his flash drive inside, and that was the future, and how fast it made the computer, quiet, low power. And at the end of the day, he's showing a 1.4 gigahertz MacBook Air that runs right up there with Apple's $3,000 17-inch i7. Now, the difference had nothing to do with great processor technology or some new breakthrough in that logic board inside the MacBook Air. It was the SSD. So it's slower. I mean, it's honestly it's better than a processor upgrade. Whereas a hard drive gets very slow on smaller transfers, and there's a lot of smaller transfers when you're using your computer and you're even just browsing websites. There's a lot of little transfers going back and forth for the OS and for file caching, for images, music, whatever it may be. With an SSD, that can happen up to 47 times faster than a conventional hard drive.
Yeah.
So where you might get a little pause or get that little wheel up for a second with a hard drive, there's not even a gap. It doesn't even stop. There's no time to go make coffee. So.
Yeah, no, and I could see if you would take that and like in Final Cut Pro, and you call up compressor, and you give it a batch here to run all night. This actually could finish up by 10 o'clock, and you'd have lots of hours left.
There you go, because it never stops. There's no latency. There's no. It doesn't run out of buffer space. It's all solid, and and the wear level. That's the other thing. Is kind of that want to kind of talk about why wear leveling and why over provisioning is important.
Now, what's the difference between the over provisioning? I kind of understand.
Certainly.
What is wear leveling? What is that?
Wear leveling, just like rotating your tires, it rotates the flash that's being used. Let's just say you had a 200 gigabyte hard drive or a 240 gig, SSD. Maybe 100 gigabytes of data is static. I mean, you've left it. You're storing data on it that you're not changing.
Okay.
So that data is sitting there on the drive. On the other part, you're doing photo editing. Maybe you're doing music. You're doing audio or video. You're constantly writing new data. If you're not using it, there's not a wear leveling algorithm in place. You end up with effectively bald spots on your flash, and that shortens the light of certain cells. So by using wear leveling, this is actively managing where that data is being stored, where the new data is being written to, and it rotates the data so you don't end up with any particular flash area that's overworn.
Yeah. Internally, is there a prefetch area that the data moves in and out of very quickly?
Absolutely.
Okay. Talk about that.
Yeah. There's always a pause before the data goes from, in transition to a flash cell.
Yes.
In the SandForce-based products, which our unit uses a SandForce processor, as that data is being transitioned, it also has a RAID. Effectively, it's a RAID-like, redundancy. So, and this is where you go back to an Air versus this drive versus a conventional drive. If there's ever a problem for any reason where it goes to write data that you've just transmitted into the drive, and it runs into an issue, in real time it remaps, and that data is still stored. It doesn't dump the data.
So it's buffered for safety, I guess you would say.
Correct. It's kind of a RAID level. There's a redundancy in that data before it is confirmed stored. I mean, these drives have to be reliable. And in 2009, I fully planned to get OWC into the SSD game. Producing product. I mean, we've been building memory for a long time. There's to me, everybody else is doing it. This can't be rocket science. And we spent a lot of time with engineering and going through different prototypes and different reference designs. And it's like, we can't build a product that makes sense. I mean, I wouldn't put this thing in my computer. And, we looked at, Crucial and other companies that were just releasing the Xeon SSDs. Every other day they had some new model with some different processor. Like, how are they doing this? What don't we have? And what really came down to is we had access to the same things that they had access to, the same processors, the same technology. I mean, this is, we got some sharp people. But at the end of the day, it came down to what they were shipping was unbelievable that they were shipping it last year. I mean, these are products that have, in my humble opinion, they have a high probability of failure. We saw failures as we sold this product, and the reason we didn't get into the SSD game with our own product, our own name in 2009 was because the product wasn't mature.
Wasn't quite ready for prime time.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, you look at a Crucial or an OCZ, and even some of the current product, and you put it through. It's like buying you're out and you're test driving a car. They let you take it around the block, you bring it to the line, put your pedal, your foot down, on the pedal, and it just takes off like a rocket ship. This is awesome. This thing, this is great. Mm-hmm. And then they get you all excited. You sign in the dotted line, you take it home, and then 2 weeks later, you have that same line. You put the pedal down, and it doesn't go anywhere. or just kind of starts to creep and crawl.
Right, right.
These are it's without that active management, these things degrade very quickly. Performance, and on the Windows side, there's trim interface. There's block management from the OS side. It's not very good. It's not really optimal, but it helps keep on. At least if you're a Windows user, it does help keep those drives at a better level. Ultimately, they still degrade. On the Mac side, there is no support for trim. So if you put a drive in your computer that does not have the internal data management, you're playing with fire.
Yeah.
Because over the course of time, that drive will, various sites have done tests where they show a drive that was 200, the Crucial C300 starts off at 213 megs a second. After a 3-month simulation, just typical, this is a photo user, just editing and working, that drive dropped to 13 megabytes a second on the right.
Wow.
That's, you no longer have an SSD benefit there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we talked about the product that I selected, the $250 price point, and that's probably the lowest, one of the lowest prices that you have in SSDs. But you also have them for professional users as well. If you could just kind of, in summary, give us some idea of the price points and the sizes and where people should go to learn more about OWC.
Well, everybody can go to macsales.com, and on our front page in the upper right-hand corner, there's a link to our SSD section. You can find all the different models for, at this point, pretty much every Mac or PC over the last decade. At the show, we introduced upgrades for the MacBook Air, as well as a 1.8-inch and 2.5-inch SATA and IDE products. So even for legacy machines, I'm going to tell you, the drives start from $99 for a 40 gig and go all the way up right now to $480. That's a little bit pricey at $1,579. But the difference it makes, you look at some people question, why would it, if you go back a few years to a computer that today you maybe can sell on eBay for $200 or $300, why would I want to spend $300 to upgrade that machine? Is it doing what you need it to do right now? Is it you're just looking for something a little bit faster? Well, yeah, I'm a little bit faster, maybe a little more storage, and drives were smaller back then. If I can spend $300 today, and now for another 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, maybe a couple of years, I don't have to buy a new system. I've gotten more than my money's worth, because any computer you buy today is obsolete, the moment you open the box.
Right.
And 6 months from now, it's going to be, if you want that same computer, it's probably going to be less than the difference will be probably greater than what you just paid for the SSD that keep your current machine cranking. I'm
going to be your poster boy, because I've got a MacBook i7 that I just bought, and we've got the old MacBook Core 2 Duo.
Right on.
And I'm going to do a side-by-side.
Awesome.
SSD in this one and the regular drive over here.
Well, we've done a lot of videos with that same program, and people say, you must be rigging the video. Because we show a 2006 and a 2007, then an 08, and we show the i7, the latest April 2010 i7. Yeah. And the i7 is not even done booting when the machine from 4 years ago is already got CS5 launched and open and ready to work. Yep. And, we had a Linux guy actually came by our booth yesterday, because we have 2 MacBook Airs set up, the same sort of demos, showing how much faster our SSD is versus the Apple stock drive. He said, I'm going to check this out. And he just started banging away at the terminal, running all the processes, and he goes, this is pretty cool. There's no juice on this side. Actually, the machine with the SSD's got a little bit higher load. So it's all good. I mean, we don't do fluff. I mean, when we release a product, we have a real product. When we put a spec out there, we're very open and transparent about all the information. When you look at our hard drives, we have a line of external hard drives that are plug and play from 80 gigs all the way up to 12 terabytes. And if you look at our product, we actually have real-world benchmarks to show what the transfer rates are. We don't just publish interface speeds. I mean, those all look nice, but the real world is a lot different. We also are the only company out there that tells you what's inside. Okay. So
if you can leave your card with Kara,
absolutely.
And I will go ahead and I'll tell you how my little
I'm going to watch that. I look forward to seeing that.
Okay, great.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it.